I prefer really not to speak. If I speak, I am in big trouble. In big trouble. And I don't want to be in big trouble.
Turn me up, kid Spiral.
Boys and girls, welcome. Episode 3 of If I Speak podcast. Got a special guest here today with me. I've been looking forward to this for a while. We spoke a little bit off camera and I'm very much looking forward to this conversation. Like I said in the other episodes, I'm talking to people who are doing like a lot of cool stuff. People who have stories to tell. And I feel like with this lovely young lady that I have today, that this conversation, I know I'm going to look back in like 5 years' time and I know it's going to have a big impact on me anyways, because this is something that is deep for me. I've been doing a lot of self-reflection and obviously the work that you do and the conversation that we're going to have, I'll go back, reflect again, and there's a journey that I want to take into me to be a better person and, trying to be a better dad, better friend, better boyfriend, whatever. And I feel like these conversations are very important, so that's why I'm giving you the platform to speak, because like I said before in the other episodes, I'll keep repeating myself. In the previous season, I've gave some idiots a platform to speak, some clowns. I don't want to be doing that anymore. I'm going back to my bread and butter where when I started this, it's about talking to cool people, finding out their stories. We swap some stories, we have a laugh, have a crack. We're still going to have the crack and all that, blah, blah. But from time to time, these conversations are needed and I think it's important. So without further ado, introduce yourself to the people.
Introduce myself. I'm Blezzing Dada. I am 22 years old. I am born and raised in Ireland, the eldest of 4 children altogether. And I am a mental health activist, content creator, writer, and passionate about young people and the community.
Yes, and see with that, explain to me mental health activists, because activism is a strong, thing to be doing. Because I remember I have some conversations with friends that they tell me activism can be very tiring and stuff, but mental health, why mental health?
I suppose with mental health, I want to talk about what that means first. So as we all know, we all have mental health and physical health. So I want to tell the difference between mental health and mental illnesses. So mental health is the state of your mind and physical health is the state of your body. And mental illnesses is kind of struggles or conditions that you would be going through for a long period of time that would affect your mental health. So, it's normal to struggle and have a bad day, be stressed about exams, be stressed about work. Whereas there's many different types of mental illnesses that kind of impact your work or, your lifestyle in general. I suppose I don't know. I don't know how to continue. What was the question again?
No. Because obviously, where I'm going with that is obviously we've spoken and you've openly said on your platform that you suffer from mental health and stuff, and obviously growing up, you were bullied about and stuff like that. So I want to get a little bit of a background to how it started, where you were obviously going through what you go through. You said, nah, fuck this. Basically, I'm gonna go out and speak and tell my story. So where did that start?
Okay. I suppose where it all began was when I was very young. Being the eldest child to a Nigerian family is very hard.
Especially being they always say the fourth girl.
Yeah,
in a black
especially
family.
being a girl.
Bro, yeah, I've seen, it's heavy.
Never mind
it's heavy.
being in Irish society, you know?
Yeah.
So that came with a lot of difficulties. I grew up in a very abusive household of domestic violence and child abuse. And that was just kind of like my normal, my upbringing. I didn't really know any better. And it was difficult to kind of process how to go through that, because we were also raised as Christians as well. So it's just very confusing of how, you know, I was taught that like God was very good, but my dad was abusing all of us for like a long time, you know. It was just my normal growing up. And then going from that in the house and then going to school and then being bullied, it was just like violence, left, right, and center, 24/7. And I was a very lonely kid as well, because I don't know, like I just didn't know how to process it, and just trying to be the eldest child and look after my siblings and look after my mom, and just being told not to tell anyone about it, or nothing would be done about it.
Take your time.
No, in my head, I was just like, should we start over? Cause
No. Take it. Keep going. Keep going. No, we're good.
I hope
We're
this
good.
is edited anyway.
No, yeah, it's good. All good.
Yeah, that was basically my childhood experiences, and it was the only way I knew life was like until the ages of 12, when I started to interact with other people, and then you're hanging out with other people, and obviously you're going to go to their family house and you see all the nice stuff, you know, the mom and dad being nice to each other. And then that was when I was kind of like, oh, why don't I have this, you know? And it was a nice feeling, but I was confused, because I was kind of like, I've never experienced this feeling before. So I basically struggled with mental health struggles my whole life, and didn't really come to terms with that until the ages of 12 to 14, and that's when it kind of went downhill. And I just had the drive in me to kind of bring some type of help for my family, because it's just us living in Ireland. We don't have any other extended family, or not that I know of anyway. I've never met them. So obviously I opened up and I told teachers in school. You know, the guards were involved, because they would come down to the house because of all the things that were happening. And basically it wasn't really going anywhere, because it was my story against 5 people. I was the only one that was kind of wanting to get help, whereas I think my mom was just scared to get help, and then my dad was just tell my siblings to say something else compared to what I was saying. So it basically just came back as me attention seeking and lying and etc. And I think it was just back and forth with social workers, Gardaí, school, everything that I could do in my power while I was under 18, and nothing worked at all. And it was really lonely, because like you also have people who were able to see the signs that something was going on, and they didn't intervene at all. People just turned a blind eye to it. If you went to church, other Christians would say, you know, if you're doing something wrong, you need to please your husband, you need to listen to him, you need to submit to him, this, that. So that was the advice that was given to my mom. And I was just looking at them being like, you shouldn't submit to abuse. Like, what is wrong with you guys giving her this type of abuse? And it just got to the point where she was just psychologically damaged in that sense. So yeah, I began to struggle with like suicidal ideations from like 15 or 16. And I was just like, I just have to wait until I turn 18 to get out.
Yeah, we all listen, I used to do that as well.
You know?
Just to piggyback off what you were saying.
Yeah.
going through, I can really, and fair play to you. I didn't know we were going to go that deep and open up, and fair play to you, because it's what If I Speak is about, don't speaking up. And shout out to Charger to the Game podcast. They had this conversation the other day, and I'll go another way. They were laughing, I will laugh about it, because some of the stories are funny, what I'll tell you today, but they were talking about, like, when they tell you, like, I'll ask you, when you tell your boyfriends about your beatings, like, with your their parents probably get cancelled today of what happened to us. I'll give you an example. There was one time, I only spoke to my sister about this the other day. Me and my brother were fighting, and my mom was trying to get us to stop. Obviously, me being the oldest, I was like, no, I was like, getting heavy, blah, 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 getting into the scuffle.
Yeah.
My mom was like, Goody, stop. I'm not stopping. Eyes are red, eyes are popping down my face. I still wanting to go, yeah?
Yeah.
My mom, she pulled out a butcher knife, yeah? And she went for me with a butcher knife. This is on my
serious?
2 kids' lives. I may never see my children again.
Yeah.
My sister can vouch for me. My sister got in the way. My sister stopped her. Ma went for me with a butcher knife. Do you know what I mean? Like, and if it wasn't my sister, I'm probably not here talking to you today. You know what I mean? Like, but I can totally relate, because, like, you know, it was just part of growing up. You were bowled at home, you got battered. You know what I mean? I remember, like, your dad seems like he was a dominant man in the house. My dad was like that as well, dominant man. And why I'm having this conversation is because I think in the last while, like, reflecting on stuff, I don't know, like, because I'm not trying to use mental health as a thing where, like, and again, I said in the last episode, I'm not here for people to feel sorry for me. This is just a journey that I'm on and the story that I want to tell. And obviously, as you, as a person that is involved in this field, you know what you're talking about, you know what you're doing. And I feel like just having this conversation, it might help someone. Because obviously, look, I know, like, this week I've had conversations with people that they've told me stuff that they haven't even told their own mothers, you know. And he said to me, like, you just, like, this is not me gassing around like that. This is just what these people told me. Sometimes I don't realise my own kind of platform or who I am as a person, what I do. And he said to me, you just have this kind of, like, you know, aura about you, or this kind of, we just feel comfortable speaking to you. And I said, you know what, Goody, you have a platform. Yeah, you're funny. Yeah, you're this, that, and that. But it's bigger than being funny. Do you know what I mean? It's bigger than that. There are people who are struggling. So if they listening to me, if you hold me in some sort of esteem or whatever, and I'm talking about going to therapy, which I'm going to talk to you about, I'm talking about, I'm going through a transition where I'm like, is all these beatings, all these, you know, this roughness that I grew up with, am I suffering? It's because I'm angry. And I know there's a lot of people that are looking at this now like, yay, they're happy that because they know already, but I'm just like, I don't want to be like that anymore. Do you know what I mean? Little small stupid stuff that gets me like that and I'm gone. Do you know what I mean? I want to heal for the sake of my children. I want them to get the best version of me, you know? So, I feel like what you're telling me there, it must have been very, very traumatic going through that. And then obviously you went through a phase where you're like, right, 18, boom, I'm getting out of this, and I'm doing this, I'm raising awareness, you know what I mean? Yeah. So when you started that process, what's the conversation now, like, with your parents, and have you had them conversations with them? Do you blame them for what you are now today, where you suffered, or no?
Like, I suppose, like, where I began with my activism, like, I began at 16 because, you know, they would come into school and have, like, all these mental health awareness days and all that type of stuff. But for me, I just didn't vibe with it, because I was like, these people are coming in talking about mental health and it's okay not to be okay, but I don't relate because I'm not seeing people that look like me, you know, like, representation is so important.
You're big on that. You're very big on that.
I'm very big on that, you know. Like, it's very effective. Like, you know, when girls see women in sports, they look at them and be like, oh, if a woman can play sports, I can, you know. When disabled people see themselves in media, they look at them and say, they can do that, I can. So when it comes to, like, mental health, it just helps to know that there's someone from your community or someone that looks like you, to know that you don't feel alone in whatever you're going through. So I didn't really see any of that. So I just kind of thought I'll just begin. Like, what else is there to lose? I've already lost so much back then. And, you know, the only thing I can do is to keep going forward. And as at the moment, my mom, she knows I do work in mental health activism. She just doesn't know the extent
She doesn't know
of
you're,
it.
she doesn't know you're heavy.
Yeah, she doesn't know. And, you know, it sounds like hypocritical for me to say that, being like, you know, very open, but I think it's also important for me to be open, but also protect myself at the same time until I can get to that stage where I can open up with her more. I've just had to put boundaries in place because at the end of the day, she was a victim, still is, to be honest, still a victim of domestic violence, no other family, no other extended support. So she's only doing the best that she could with 4 kids, an abusive husband, and just doing it on her own in Ireland. So there was times where I was very angry when I was younger. But when it comes to anger, I don't express anger outwards. I express it internally. So people wouldn't really know I'm angry until I tell them, you know. So that's just how I am.
That's the stage I'm trying to look at. Then they look. Anger is an emotion. It's part of. Sometimes you can channel that energy.
Yeah.
And you know, it drives me. Do you know what I mean? Like, but sometimes like there are times where it could go over the top, where you're lashing out on people that don't deserve it, i.e. the kids, your siblings, your girlfriend. Do you know what I mean? You're going through shit. It's not got to do with them. But part of my big anger, I think, comes from where I thought I was speaking to you earlier about my injury when I got injured, and what I love to do is play ball. It's all I know. It's what I've known my whole life. It's what I love. And that getting taken away from me, like I said, I think that has played a part in me being vexed and frustrated. You know, it's just been tough, you know what I mean? Like, just something that I love. I don't want to be on the walk and working for someone and listening to bleeding customers all day, annoying me, telling me about the weather. I don't care about the weather. Me too, I was outside. I know it's hot out, do you know what I mean? I know the sun's out. I know it's raining. I got bleeding rain all over me, you know what I mean? Like, hey, that's one of the questions in work. It's lovely out in there. I fucking know. Me too, I was outside, do you know what I mean? So that's what I wanted to do, but I feel like I remember a while ago, this might sound weird, but I was just scrolling through old messages on Facebook, looking at messages with my old teammates. Like, I remember when we split, like when you play DDSL football, you play from like 13 to like 17, and then you all split then. Say you're at Crumlin or whatever, or Cherry Orchard. Some will go to St. Patrick's, some will go to fucking Bowles, some will go to Rovers. And I remember talking to one of the lads, and he's like, I'm going here. And I just miss the dressing room, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel that's missing. I feel like that's just part of me being fucking frustrated because I'm not doing what I love, you know? But you know, and that's where like I'm gonna look into, obviously speak to you, doing some therapy, like I said, because I need to heal, bro. Do you know what I mean? I really do need to heal. But just to go back a little bit, you said like your mother is still a victim of domestic abuse now, Does that make you like, are you frustrated with your dad? What's your relationship like with your dad? Two questions, sorry. Are you frustrated with him? And what's your relationship like with your dad?
One, I don't have a relationship at all. Like, never had in the beginning. And people used to be very confused by that because they were like, didn't you guys grow up in the same household? The only thing I know about him is his first and last name. Don't know his birthday, don't know how old he is, don't know...
I don't know the age of both my parents either. I think my dad's, I think he went 54 or something this year.
Yeah.
My dad's bleeding, I think 40, I think it's at 50 at the next year because I'm 30, Jess is 18. My mom's, I think she's 49, it's weird, you know, your parents' age.
Yeah, like,
Fucked.
I don't know
They don't
anything.
talk to you. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, that's, sorry for coming across you, but that's
okay.
where, like, listen, I'm not trying to say, because there are people that are going to watch this and be like, and I don't know if you agree with this, I don't think we could ever be better than our parents. They came from environments that are mad. We're growing up very privileged. Let's get that right, we are.
Yeah.
They came through a madness. Like, I'm talking about bleeding me knee injury that has my head gone. Do you know what I mean? They grew up mad and they came here, gave us this life. So I don't think I can ever be a better dad than my dad, but I'll do things better, do you know what I mean, with my kids and that. I'll know what my daughter's favourite hobby is and I know what my son's likes and dislikes are, do you know what I mean? Like, that's what you don't know because they don't talk to you, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Another thing that plays into our psychology of like, we're fucked, do you know what I mean? We are mentally, every single one of us.
Yeah.
And that's where like I want people to try. I'm not saying, you know, start talking to people, blah, blah. people need to try and open up and speak up and heal, because there are a lot of us that are bollocks, you know what I mean? Like, but yeah, continue with your dad relationship.
Yeah, no, like have no idea what he is, like don't know where he's from, don't know who his mom is, dad is, brother, sister, nothing at all. Me being angry at him, yes, because I don't know why he's like that. Maybe he is mentally unwell, undiagnosed, don't know any type of history or his childhood background that might have caused him to be that way. Haven't a clue at all. So that would be the part that I would be angry about, because you're just left in the in the ghost era of that, you know. In terms of my mom, yeah, I have grace, because even though I might be angry here and there for her, it wouldn't be necessarily because of how I was raised, but because I just want better for her, you know? I just know that, like, if she continues to stay with him, she's not going to die of old age. And that's all I can say about that, you know? But like, when I was younger, I was angry about the childhood that I never had, how a mother is supposed to protect her children, and she would side with the abuser and then allow me to be abused. And just having to be an adult very fast when I was a child, being a parent to my siblings and then being a parent to my own parents, you know. But then again, I just have grace that she was very limited in her options, and I know deep down that she loves me, even though it might be confusing. So all I can really do is just kind of like love from a distance and just continue to try and support her from there, and then also kind of raise awareness about it. I don't really talk about this type of stuff on social media. I only kind of talk about it when people reach out to me for help. But yeah.
No, look, fair play. I didn't think it was gonna go left like that, but I guess it's just, like I said, you probably feel just comfortable. We're here, we're talking, and you know, this does go on in homes. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
especially in African homes.
it's a big
so fair play to you opening up. What I wanted to ask you, but we're not going to your work as well now.
Yeah,
that's the main reason we have you here and what you do and stuff. But you said something. Remember we went to that Trinity College, the public speaking thing that we did. You said something that was very powerful, and I've touched on it already with therapy. You said sometimes God walks through people. That's not always obviously look God fixing everything, blah blah. And I found that very powerful. That's where I got me thinking. Is like, you know what? Yes, I pray. Yes, I do this. Yeah, I do this. But sometimes God likes people, helps people who don't help themselves. So with therapy, what do you recommend to the black community? How do they go about it? Because obviously it's a stigma in our community where we look at it and be like, no, it's just God's going to get us through. What do you say to that?
Yeah, I think like with a lot of us, we would kind of be known to have been raised in a very religious community, Christian community. And a lot of us may have been raised on, you know, if you're going through any struggles, just pray about it and it will go away. It will heal in the name of Jesus, this, that. And obviously I'm not against that. I'm just cautious of where people get their advice from, because, you know, it's good to go to church if you believe in that, and it's good to listen to your pastor if you believe in that. But people just have to remember that they are not professionals in this area, unless like they hold a degree in in this area. Pastors and church can be therapeutic, but it is not therapy. And we really need to break down the stigma and shame of, you know, if you're a Christian and you're struggling with your mental health, then you're not a Christian, or your faith is very weak, or mental illness is a white people thing, and this, that. Yeah. And it's not. Mental health doesn't discriminate, but the help and the awareness does. So when it comes to Christianity, I believe that God uses his tools on earth through people, through medication, and whatever way that he provides for us to get through what we are going through in a very broken world. I'm not ashamed to say I'm on antidepressants for the last 4 years for mental illnesses. I'm not afraid to say that I see a psychiatrist, a psychologist. I have a mental health team for the last year and a half. I've done different mental health intervention programs. So if anyone is listening,
Trust me.
I
They're
want them
listening.
to know that there is no shame in struggling with your mental health and speaking up. There's many different factors that can affect our mental health, and just by coming together and speaking about it, and just also being there to support each other in the way that we can is really important. So we really need to free ourselves from the shackles of, seeing each other as weak if we are struggling. Because you're not, we're human after all.
That's a powerful thing that you said, especially, and I'll hold my hands up. I'm not even going to cap. Not 1 second I'm going to cap. I tell the truth.
Yeah.
I used to say that mental health is to white people. Every week it was mental health for a while, especially now with platforms and all, people speak up and that. And until I go back, lockdown, I was going through it. And how I deal with pain is, and I remember I still rang rehab from you because I drink a lot, you see.
Yeah.
Heavy. But today, look, I brought the Mai, you know what I mean? This is a serious conversation, so I brought my Mai, and it was locked down, and obviously breaking up my mother's door. And obviously I thought, look, I'm free now, back in the mask, I can do what I want, I'm going to be out bleeding, you know what I mean? Cheeks are going to be swinging every week, it wasn't like that, you know what I mean? Look, there was nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Can't bring bleeding boards back to the gaff, up on a bunk bed and all, only cheeks swinging anywhere, you know what I mean? But wasn't one cheek, fuck's sake. But sleeping on a top bunk. Look, I had to climb up to get up on a bed normal, but then when I was getting down, because the stairs was facing this way because it's a broken bed, had to jump off like I was fucking Jeff Hardy. It was embarrassing, you know what I mean? So how I was just dealing with that, I was drinking every night, but I was thinking I was just having fun. But I think I was, how can I say this? I was helping ease my pain through drinking, getting drunk and sitting on a house party till 8, 9 in the morning thinking that I'm all right, but I'm not. That's how I was medicating myself, basically, I can say.
Yeah.
With alcohol. Heavily, Monday to Sunday, during lockdown. And, it came to a point where, even the next day, I'm just walking around and I'm just not myself. Do you know what I mean? Through that period, there's 2 periods that I say in my life that, has saved my life. My daughter, number 1, because she got me through. She got me through lockdown. If it wasn't for her, just having her and having someone to live for every single day, that got me through. And then when I got injured, my boys, the lads, Sacred Heart, I'm even getting fucking chills talking. Me coaching them lads from 15 to 18, that 3-year period saved my life. Because I had a Tuesday, Thursday training, Sunday games, So I had my little routine, coaching young lads, going training, going to the games, they're implementing what I'm telling them, we're winning games, we're winning trophies, we're having a laugh, So I've said it already and I'm going to say it again to them boys there, man. And obviously my little girl, she watches this. That was a period of my life which is saving my life, do you know what I mean? But I want to improve on that even more. I want to get even better, because I can get even better, do you know what I mean? Because I'm a sound fella to be around, you know what I mean? When I'm on good form, you know what I mean? But I do, there's internal madness that are in me, which I think a therapist would help. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm seeking to do. I said this to my sister the other day. My sister was so happy. She was like, yeah, I'm so happy you're saying this, you know what I mean? Because you're fucked, basically, you were saying, So, you said something though, and we're going to go on to this conversation where you have, 98% of your followers are white. You find it hard for, black people to follow you. and you know you don't really have black friends like that either. What's it like growing up, like, you know, around that, like just white people, like, because I say it's tough, microaggressions, all that type of stuff. Is it that now? How would you think? How am I trying to ask this? How can you transition yourself into our community? I think through your work, number one, and obviously having this platform. But how do you, like, have you tried to immerse yourself into the community? Do you feel welcomed? Like,
I suppose, you know, growing up in Irish society, obviously you're gonna have some of the mannerism, you're gonna have some of the accent. So obviously I grew up with experiencing racism from the white community. But I think also being born and raised in Ireland, you know, I found it hard to kind of connect with the black community a little bit growing up.
why is that?
Because with my home situation anyway, that was very difficult with trying to reach out for help, and you know, people were looking but like no one was reaching in to help. And then number two, it was just you know, I was bullied a lot for different reasons, for like being autistic, for my home situation, all that type of stuff. And one of the other reasons was of being told that I act white, I sound white, I do white people things. I was very immersed in like the, you know, GAA culture. I'm not your usual Afrobeat person, you know. I can't dance.
Neither can I. Or
No,
still
you
do it,
can
you know what I mean? Fuck them. You can't dance. Don't mind them. You can't dance. Still two-step.
I can cook the food though, you know.
Yeah.
But I suppose just like, I think just growing up, people just expected like every black person to be the same, and people couldn't own their own identities. Like I wasn't shy of being myself. Like that's just how it is. Like I wasn't faking the way I talk, the way I act, the way I dress. That's how it is. I was just picked on for not being your typical or stereotypical black person. So that was a lot of the bullying that I got from the black community. And it just kind of hurted a bit more because it was kind of like people that look like you who also experienced racism in Ireland, but then like they are not treating each other in the community as brother and sister for being slightly different, you know? So I think like people need to understand that like us black folks, we're not a monolith. We have our own individual likes, dislikes, political views, whatever. And just to show up as your authentic self and just be that way, you know.
You touched on something there. I don't want it to go away. Sorry again for cutting across you. Lads, I am improving on the not cutting across people, especially having such a great guest, and I'm really enjoying this conversation. I really can't wait to watch this back. Can't wait till it comes out as well, because you're spot on in a lot of things that you're saying. But I wanted to touch on, we spoke about you have an issue with Black Lives Matter and you were called a coon, yeah? But I'll go back to that in a minute. This is my issue with that whole, because people have had issue with Black Lives Matter, obviously with they rob money, their whatever, their agenda isn't for black people, whatever, yeah? My thing is this with the whole Black Lives Matter things. We're black people. My dad used to always tell me, right? Your fellow man, like, you know, as a black, we should stick together because obviously it's not our country. Nous sommes les étrangers. We're strangers, he says, yeah? Why on earth is when someone is doing well, us, our own people, are hating? It's us, our own people. Oh, he's not that good. Oh, he's overrated. It's us only. It's always us. Yes, okay, you'll get the odd Mundele or whatever, Suki Shidma, Suki Nini, whatever, yeah, that will fucking, you know, have some criticism with that people, but it's mainly us. That's my issue with it. Do you know what I mean? That's why I'm not trying to hear this whole Black Lives Matter shit from people anymore. I'm fed up with it. You know what I mean? Like, but what you were telling me earlier, so what's your whole thing on it?
I suppose like back in 2020, you know, raising the awareness of Black Lives Matter, and obviously the reason why it existed because of, you know, experiencing racism in a very white supremacist world. That was the main cause of why Black Lives Matter came around. But I suppose within Irish context and when our own communities were talking about it, I kind of really reflected on the different conversations that were going on. And I actually felt very lonely back in 2020 when all that was happening, because obviously it's a very emotionally charged conversation, and everyone had each other in the community to support on. And there was just me by myself, like supporting myself. Like I went to the protest by myself. No Black person reached out to me, maybe just one. But that was just really it. And I feel like we need to go very deeply into what that actually means, because I see a lot of issues in the Black community that aren't really addressed as much, such as, you know, toxic masculinity, domestic violence, LGBTQI plus issues, disability issues. And when I hear Black Lives Matter, I'm really just thinking about like which Black Lives Matter, you know, because
you're spitting.
Yeah, no, because like it's the ones that I see who are closer to white proximity, who have like Tim privilege, pretty privilege, who are very popular in the Black community. They're the ones that are kind of seen to be the ones that matter. But the ones that are the most oppressed, the ones who are mentally ill, disabled, direct provision, homelessness, a lot of the uncomfortable topics that we don't really talk about that affect many different people. I'm like, what about their lives? You know, we haven't really touched on these things. So yeah, that's just something I want people to kind of start to think more on. Because we really need to like elevate these issues and support each other, because I feel like a lot of us are living very individualistic lives, and we're supposed to come together as a collective community to support each other in the good times and the bad times. And that's just not what I'm seeing at the moment, to be honest.
I hear that, and I've never looked at that angle you have to give me there. I've never looked at it like that. I've always looked at it from a standpoint of like, you know, us Black people, we do suffer in this war. That's why it's Black Lives Matter. You're getting the hands up and all, and you see the footballers get kneeling and stuff for the injustices of what happens in America and stuff. And I never really looked at it like that, where, you know, you said like obviously people who have like mental illness and the LGBTQ plus community, people like that, they're also, it is an uncomfortable conversation that Black people need to have. But who's willing to have that conversation? Are we willing to have that conversation? Do you know what I mean? Like, and this is, like I said, this is why platform like this for me, I do want to have these conversations, but I want myself though, before, I don't want to go into that realm of, I'm not talking on topics that I'm not 100% knowledgeable on, because I want to speak with facts. Do you know what I mean? Like, not just speak on emotion, which I do a lot as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, so no, it's definitely is that like giving me a different perspective on it and a different angle, because it is a conversation to be had, because there are those who are left like that. And what you said as well, that pretty privilege thing, that's a real thing in all, what not just like with Black Lives Matter or whatever, in everything. In everything, bro. That pretty privilege, there's Tim privilege, all that type of stuff, you know? So, no, well and truly spoken. And I hope, like I said, people who are listening, you know, they're taking things on board. And, you know, we are sparking debates within our homes and group chats and whatever, blah, blah, on how we can be better and as a collective. Because my thing is this, me personally, and I don't want white people to be offended. This is not me saying I hate you guys or whatever, blah, blah, blah. I have white friends. Like these man like to say, I'm not racist, I have Black friends, right? Do you know what I mean? Anyone Black that is doing well, it's like I'm doing well. I'm rooting for you. Do you know what I mean? Like, I love seeing people, whether it's artists, podcasts, footballers, whatever. You doing well. You're opening doors for my little brothers, my sisters, my son, my daughter. It's good in a world where, like you said, where it's hard for us. These men don't want to hear it. They don't like hearing it. It is hard. I can give you an example. It's just a small example. I'm on the Lewis. It's actually my guy, what's his name? Sosa. I had him last episode. His manager was sitting right here. I was speaking to him after. I was like, I think I've seen you before. He's like, yeah, he was on the Lewis. And Lewis suspected bleeding, grabbed him, and you know what I mean? And they were fucking giving him a fine for not having a ticket, right? I'm on the Lewis with the family. You know where we were coming from. I'm with the kids and the missus. And there's a chap, obviously they're checking tickets or whatever, blah, blah. And there's a chap, he's with his missus, he's like, oh, I'm getting off the next stop. So this is at like Cheeverstown, who knows Cheeverstown. just beside Rossfield there. He said, I'm getting off next stop. So next stop is CWest campus. They didn't get off. They didn't get off. They get off the stop after that. But then they went to my guy. They grabbed him. And he's like, I'm getting off next stop. But yet they gave him a fine.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I'm just like... And I'm not... And again, these people, the race card, when this goes on TikTok, he's flip-flopping and I shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? Like, this, I've seen it. And I said it. I got off with the pushing the young fella. Pushing. I was like, you are some chaps, right? What about them lot there? What about them lot there? You let them away with it. They told you to get off next stop. Next stop is this stop. They're gone skidding on. The next stop, you're grabbing him. What are you grabbing him for? Oh, Willie, you Willie, you little fool. You brothers was two of them. They would have battered me. I'm pushing the buggy, you know what I mean? Like, but not have been two of the lads there, for me brothers, I would have went, let's have a go. Do you know what I mean? No, I'm sick of it. I'm absolutely sick of it. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. And it was good that I was there and I stuck up for him and he appreciated that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm always like that. And that's where I'll go back to it. Yes, sometimes my anger and stuff like that is bad, whatever, but like being aggressive like that, we're trying to like get people. I can't do it on my own. It has to be a collective thing, all of us. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're as a community, let's bowl together, let's support each other. We don't have to love one another. I'm not trying to say, let's be real here. It's a world where, like, you know, we're all doing our own stuff, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Respect one another and support one another. Do you know what I mean? Like,
no, you're right. Because I feel like, although all of us, obviously in the black community, we're all black, we all experience racism, I think people forget that, like, they still have privileges in many different ways. So, like, for example, I'm very privileged to have been born and raised in Ireland and have never gone through direct provision, went to school, working, etc. But, you know, you could have another black female sitting beside me. The only difference is if she's not disabled and I am, she has a privilege of being able-bodied and not having to exist and kind of figure out how to walk the world in such an ableist society. You know, we all have different privileges and just using them to kind of help each other in a collective way is important, you know?
You mentioned earlier that you're autistic, yeah? So, like I said, it's something that I'm not going to speak on. I'm going to let you speak on it because I haven't got a bleeding clue what it actually is.
I wasn't going to speak on
I
it.
know, huh?
I wasn't going to.
I know, but I want because I want to know what it is and stuff. So if you want to, you don't have to. But how does that like affect you day to day, like with stuff? Like, first of all, what is it? What is autism?
Basically, autism is just a neurological variation. It's just a different way of existing in the world, a different way of thinking, sensory. That's really it, you know. There's many different types of people within the autistic community. So a lot of the stereotypical image that would come in someone's head is usually an autistic white man and not being able to speak or not being able to work and etc. So when people look at me, they're like, you don't look autistic, you don't act autistic, and I'm like, what does that even mean?
That's not what flat out.
You know?
That's what I think though. That's what I think what that is.
Yeah.
That's exactly that's what I'm asking. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So like, but you don't, but not, but you do have the ability to work on that, yeah. But someone like me, like, I don't really think like, look, I seen you earlier. You told me about like obviously other stuff that goes on with you, like, you know, chronic pains and all that, blah blah blah. Like, and then you're able to sit here, articulate yourself so well. You do so many things. It's like you wouldn't think you were autistic. Do you know what I mean? Like,
oh, there's a lot of work that goes on in the background, you know. So basically, some of the things I would struggle with is like sensory issues, making eye contact. People,
you told me you've been looking at me the whole time. You know what I mean?
Because I'm masking at the moment.
Yeah, okay.
So masking is basically me just pretending that I'm not autistic.
Okay.
Other things would be like people have to be blunt with me. Like if you're speaking between lines or like, I don't know if
like using analogies and all.
Yeah, all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Not
so
like
you wouldn't handle the football analogies then.
Pardon?
I use football analogies for girls, and you won't be able to handle that.
A little bit, like for like little things, like if someone's like flirting with me or something, I have to be like, you have to just say out loud, like say it straightforward. Like I don't know if what you're saying, what you mean, that type of stuff, you know. What other things? Sensory issues, like it depends on the person. So for me, you know, like bright lights, sounds. I wear headphones.
Are these lights all right?
They're okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna say David there. I mean, no, but I would go on.
Yeah, so it's just different for every type of person, and again, I'm much more articulate with writing than speaking.
Yeah, you're flat out, aren't you? I'm not gonna lie to you. I've seen your post, so I do want to
I feel like
read
I'm not
them.
explaining myself properly here. But
No, you do. Listen, trust me, you're doing a better job than me anyways explaining. But when you write, like, you'd be writing flat out. It'd be like, I'm reading, I'm trying to read. I'm like, no, I'm getting all this flat out because I can't. But yeah, you're very, are you a professional writer? Like, are you, like, what? Did you do writing in college or?
No, I think the only reason I'm very good at writing is because other things that can be associated with autistic people is being non-speaking. So like when I was younger, I never used to talk. How I communicated was writing.
Right.
And that was how people were able to understand what I need, communicate with them, etc. So that's why I'm much better with writing than talking. I only really got comfortable with talking only in the last maybe 4 or 5 years. Before then, people only know me through writing. People didn't really know what I sounded like until like last year. They're like, is that how you sound? I'm like, yeah, you know.
No, stop. Is when you read, because obviously you watched the Gabby episode, because I went back on our conversations. You watched obviously the Gabby episode, and you reached out and you said you do mental health stuff. And I said, because I was gonna like, you know what I was gonna do? I was gonna get an actual therapist on and just basically.
I can help you with that.
But yeah, no, 100%. I want help with that.
Yeah.
But I was gonna get the therapist on and just sit here and basically do a therapy session, but it's a podcast kind of thing, and open up. But when you reached out, I was like, nah, like, you know, and I've seen your work, and your work's amazing. But like I said, I hope, like, obviously at the end, I'm gonna get you to put your handles and all up and whatever. We'll get your stuff in the description and stuff like that. And I really hope people do follow, and who are struggling like silently, that they do kind of, you know, seek help with you, or whatever way you can help. Because I think I said it to you already off camera, I've said it to you in message, I said it to you that day in the Trinity. What you do is brilliant. You know, and it's very important that, yeah, we can have our entertainment, you can have your clowns on social media doing stuff, blah, blah, but there are people, and I've had them conversations this week where people are struggling. Do you know what I mean? Like, people are really, really, really struggling. They're not brave like me and you sitting up here and opening up. They just get on with it. And you can't just get on with it, because at one point, I said this to someone the other day, she let me, obviously, she gave me permission to talk about this. Obviously not going to name who it is, but she went through 2 miscarriages. And she hasn't told her mother. And she's been suffering with that, where the boyfriend was acting the idiot. And, you know, the stress, that's how she lost the last baby and stuff, you know, and stuff like that. And I just goes to her, like, have you spoken to anyone? She's like, no. Like, I was like, did you tell your mother? She's like, no. I was like, why are you telling me? She just felt comfortable talking to me or whatever, you know. But she's been suffering silently, do you know what I mean? And it's you know, I'm not saying I'm bleeding Jesus or anything, I'm saving lives, but this conversation that we've just having could possibly, you know what I mean? And it's been good for me just sitting here. I felt like I'm doing a bleeding therapy session. And how much are them yokes actually for an hour?
For therapy?
Yeah. How much are you paying, like, with your all what you do, like?
So I'm through the HSE.
Right. So it's a free chat.
Pardon?
It's a free. Oh, it's free. It's free, is it? You said you don't speak in riddles. Sorry, it's free, is it?
Yeah. But it's true, like, waiting lists. Like, so the first point of contact would be, you know, if you're struggling, to go to your GP and talk to them about these issues, because they're the point of contact to help you get into your local mental health services. But obviously we know how shite the mental health system is in Ireland, so like there's a lot of waiting lists. So there is other ways to like get services, but like they would be private. So people would usually have to like pay for them if they can't wait for, you know, the services through the public healthcare system. But that's what I mean when people say it's okay not to be okay, it's okay to ask for help. But like they don't go beyond after that sentence. We have to create that space and create that help that people can reach into. There's no point saying it's okay to ask for help, but then when they come to you for help, it's kind of like you're not even educating yourself on these things, or you're not able to point them in the direction of where to get help. Or even if there's specific issues that they're going through, if you are causing harm at the same time in the same issue that they're trying to get help in, then it's also important to acknowledge that and then to try and do better in that area. Because let's just say there's so many people that I know who share all these like fancy Instagram posts, but like for me as a disabled person, I'm seeing all these things that harm like the disabled community, and I'm just kind of like, how are you going to say you care about mental health but you're doing things that are harming the disabled community, and then you're just creating that image of not being a safe person, so yeah, it's really important for us to educate ourselves on all these different social justice issues that people in our community are struggling with, and then just to come together and help, because the waiting lists are long, But at the end of the day, therapy is life-saving. There's many different types of services out there. And yeah, I'm in therapy at the moment, and I see my therapist once a week. And I said earlier on that I'm using antidepressants to help with my mental illnesses.
That's very, like I said again, you need to stop doubting yourself as well, because you are out there speaking perfectly there and summing up, them struggles, and your story is fascinating. And I want to get what I wanted to get from this conversation. You've helped me, and I thank you for that. Like I said, in 5 years, 10 years time, I'm going to look back on this conversation and say that was the start of my process of like being better myself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like, I'm a person that, especially at home and stuff like that, like I've done, like, I'll never sit up here and portray myself as this innocent guy. I've done some fucked up shit, to people, to my daughter's mother, like some fucked shit like that. I need healing from before I fuck up other people around me, especially 2 young kids. I need to be better. Do you know what I mean? Like, so, and there's a lot of people who are like that. There's a lot that's gonna watch. They want to just watch Goody for entertainment, for Goody to be a clown or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm telling you, it's not all about all this. These jokes, these stories. They all come from pain. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and it's even sometimes it's a cry. It's nearly a cry for help. I'm like, help me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No one. I'm that friend that. Like, one of my friends, I rang her today. She's going through shit, and I said, I'm not doing that. It's okay to be okay. I said, I'm just gonna bring you to put a smile on your face. I'm not gonna tell you be strong or keep going. All these buzzwords. I'm not doing that, like you said. Nah, flat out, bro. Like, it's the buzzwords. Honestly. You know what I mean? Be strong, and you know what I mean. Fucking, you're gonna see brighter days. I did that. I was that guy. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
No, bro.
I think we've all been there.
Just ring and just what's the story? What's going on? You know what I mean? Like, smell a shit. Buzz off. You know what I mean? Like, pour a smile on that face. So yeah, man.
No, definitely putting actions behind your words.
Yeah,
because
100,
like,
bro. Yeah, 100.
I just hate the whole performative behavior of like, even when sometimes people say to me like, I'll be praying for you, like I know that they're not gonna pray for me. Like,
no,
it's
you know what, flat, yeah. I do like I said to one of my boys, he has a big game next week.
Yeah.
Shout out to you, Blair, you tick. He has a big game next week, and I said to him, I goes, I'm gonna, because obviously he had and he's gonna come on, watch Blair's episode.
Okay.
Blair's episode is gonna be the funniest thing I ever did in my life, because he's my best friend. Yeah. I'm just gonna open up the stories you're gonna hear. You think I'm mad on Instagram? These are real stories. It's gonna be funny, and he just laughs at everything. But he had a disappointment where he so this cup final that they're playing in, they play it in the Aviva Stadium, and he played every round, got to the final, didn't play, and his head was gone. Do you know what I mean? So he's back to that final now again, but this time they're playing in Cork. I said, Blair, I'm gonna pray for you, because I know how much this means to you. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, I love people that overcome struggles and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I love that rags to riches kind of story. So no, I did. There are people that do that genuinely do. Do you know what I mean? Like, but I hear what you're saying though. I hear what you're saying definitely. Like, do you know what I mean? But yeah, look, I've really enjoyed this conversation. Where can people find you? And you know, tell them like any advice you have for people that are struggling. Just to wrap up and from your side.
Yeah, I'm mostly active on Instagram at BLEZZING DADA, Blezzing Dada. And yeah, that's where I raise awareness more articulately on social media. I also want to give a shout out to Black Therapists Ireland. I didn't know they existed until October of 2020. I didn't even know Black therapists actually existed in Ireland until then. So yeah, it was Ijero that founded the organization. So they're like a group of accredited therapists in Ireland from African backgrounds, but any ethnic minority person can use their services. So I really want people to be aware that they exist in Ireland, and that there's people like them who actually work in the healthcare service to give them the help that they need. And yeah, also just with like rounding up to, because you were talking about healing a lot, and I just wanted to like help you remember that like healing is not always linear. And like that's okay as well, because like even for myself, like people see me on social media.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Because I'm a tick. What's a linear mean?
So like that's not always steady. So like every day it's not always gonna be like happy.
Okay.
So like even with me, like people see me on social media and they're always like, oh, like you do all these amazing things and this, that, and like you don't see that like I have a breakdown like every every 2 or 3 weeks. Like even when you reached out to me in November, and then like I was saying to you earlier on that like I was in hospital in January, like no one knew that like it was from like a suicide attempt. Like
oh wow, I didn't know.
Yeah, like I didn't really tell anyone. And it's just important for people to remember that like social media is only like an insight to people's lives. Like people only usually just post the good stuff, you know. So like with me, I just kind of post like a mixture of like good or bad. So like if people find me depressing on social media, then I'm kind of like, is it depressing or is it reality, you know? And that's just how I see it, you know. Like every day is not always going to be a good day, and it's okay to know that that you're not going to feel happy all the time. But it's important to know that there is people who are talking about these things and just really trying to help each other, because it's hard times, you know. There's so many things going on in this world. And yeah, there's no shame in saying that you need help. So
thank you, love. I appreciate that. And listen, just for yourself, when we finish, I'm going to give you a big hug. big hug. I don't know what to say, because you even opening up like that and saying that it's chilling, you know what I mean? Like someone that I'm talking to you about my podcast now, looking forward, and obviously like that happens, that's mad. I don't have the words to, I know you talk a lot. I fucking do a podcast, you know what I mean? I don't know what to say to you, but I'm here anyways. I'll give you my number. You have me on socials whenever. Yeah, you say you have no black friends. You have a friend in me now. So don't say you don't have black friends. Next time you're on and do that part, I know Dave's going to get you on his thing.
Yeah.
Don't say, I have one black friend, goody. So that's me, you know what I mean? So now listen, seriously, you're a queen. And I really, really appreciate you coming on and doing this conversation and giving me your time. And yeah, like I know this is going to impact on someone anyways. It doesn't have just bleeding billions of us in this world. I know I can't save the world on my own, whatever. But if I can save at least one person, whatever it is, what it is. So thank you, yeah?
That's all that matters.
I prefer really not to speak. If I speak, I am in big trouble. In big trouble. And I don't want to be in big trouble.
Turn me up, kid Spiral.